Good morning, participants. Continuing to our webinar series on technology roadmap for emerging future. Today is our 5th day of webinar. Today's topic is IoT and AI convergence. Both are the emerging technology. For today's talk with us, our guest speaker, Mr. Bhupen Pratap Singh. Bhupen Pratap Singh completed his graduation in Electronics and Communication Engineering in 2016. He has done PG diploma in IoT from CTAC Pune in 2017. Currently, he is working with Accenture as a senior analyst in IoT and AI domain projects and associates with the CTAC Pune as a guest faculty for PGD IoT and PGDHD course. Prior to Accenture, he has worked with HAS Studios Technology Private Limited, Bliss Healthcare Industries USA and CTAC Pune. He is a skilled polyglot programmer and experience in distributed laser technologies, wireless sensor networks, computing frameworks, cloud native applications, embedded Linux, tech stack, and communicating technology results to audience with various backgrounds. He also has a true understanding of socket programming, C, Python, Node.js, SQL, time series database, Docker, Grafana, and other computing frameworks and languages. Research papers in tech journals and conferences. He has delivered invited technical talks and FDP in various conferences and engineering colleges. He also loves teaching and open source and is keen on adoption among the student community and keep exploring emerging technology, especially open source trends in IoT domain. Over to Mr. Bhupen Pratap Singh.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for nice introduction. So I hope all of you will be quite eagerly to know about IoT and AI convergence and these two technologies that are the most demanding skill set in the industry, and how AI is tapping into the IoT to make more intelligent, in the business. So we will be taking care of all these things with certain use cases that how industry is tackling this convergence of IoT and AI. So prior to that, let us try to understand what actually IoT is and what are the certain enabling technologies that is required to understand in order to develop a quick prototype in IoT, or might be you are interested to come from a new domain to IoT. So what are the certain things you must understand? So a very general definition of IoT is like network of physical objects. Those physical objects could be like a device, vehicle, buildings, and of course any other object, right? Where you can embed with electronic software, sensors, and more important, network connectivity. And why these things are required? So that you can enable these objects to collect and exchange data, right? So in general terminology, if you want to understand IoT, it means you have to connect devices to the cloud, right? And those clouds should be public cloud, not private cloud, right? So public clouds, now a lot of public clouds are available into the market like AWS, Microsoft Azure, GCP, IBM Watson, and a lot of open source platforms like ThinkSpot, Thinger.io, ThinkSpeak. I hope you might have worked some of these open source protocol, if not tried any applications on AWS or Microsoft Azure, right? So whatever devices you have, once you start connecting these devices to the cloud platform, generally it's just first generation IoT. We will be going through the how generational shift has taken into the IoT in upcoming slides, more into the detail. So there are few important aspects that need to be understood whenever we understand any technology, right? Because you talk about too much in research paper, but when industry start accepting any technology and start implementing business cases, applying in business and getting a lot of insight and of course revenue generation, there are certain factors that happens into the industry, And most of you will admit this is the one of the major reason that IoT become one of the hot topic into the market, and later it got lot of attention and every company just started setting up their test bed into the IoT domains. So these four factors that what I found that became one of the major driving force for IoT adoption among the major tech giants. First one, like broadband internet, now you see is widely available, and that too, very affordable cost. Second, initially, if you talk about any embedded engineer, that how much he has to pay even buy a microcontroller, right? It was so much. But nowadays, even if you are quite interested to start your journey in IoT, you can buy very small, investing very small amount, even $2, $3, and you can have a IoT device that have Wi-Fi, Bluetooth capability, right? Like take an example of ESP32 development board. With that, you can easily have lot of SDKs, even AWS, Microsoft Azure, all the cloud platform has their SDKs where you will find that you can easily develop your POC with these devices where you have to spend just $4 or few cents. Then technology costs are every day going down. So let me talk about more in IoT side what technology means. So generally, whenever you talk about IoT, cloud is one of the core tech stack that need to be discussed. So in cloud side nowadays you have to even launch a virtual machine. You can launch it within few rupees, if I say in that you can launch your instance, you can store your data, you can process your data. So cloud technology played also a very vital role in making IoT reaching to the masses. And then you are anywhere and you have your smartphone, you can control your offices, buildings, you can see what actually is going into the business. All these things you can easily see. So these four factors made IoT reach to the masses. So let me give you a very brief idea like how IoT works. So generally, if I put a highlight on the reference architecture of IoT, there are two general reference architecture that is practiced quite widely. One is layer 2 architecture, one is layer 3 architecture. So generally, there are various types of IoT devices that are available, and based on the use cases, we select these devices, right? Prominently, you will find that Ethernet-based devices, Wi-Fi-based devices are quite in large numbers in the industry that are used. So in those cases, generally, if you have to connect your device, you can easily connect without having a gateway. And this was the first generation IoT devices where Wi-Fi and Ethernet-based devices were into the market, and they can directly connect to the cloud. So this was first generational IoT where directly you are sending your telemetry to the cloud. It means might be you are sitting in the Pune and you have a certain device in Patna, right? And you can control this particular Pune environment by the device that is put up in the Pune, and from Patna by having a mobile applications or cloud, right? But slowly and slowly use cases started penetrating, and there were a lot of applications that need to be developed with low power devices like Bluetooth, low energy, Zigbee based devices. So these devices doesn't have IP capability. It means they can directly cannot connect to the cloud. You need to have some medium that is called gateway, right? So for this you need to have gateway. So gateways could be like a Zigbee gateway, and then that particular gateway must have some Wi-Fi device also at other side to connect to the cloud. So these particular architecture start coming into the market, and people have now Zigbee based devices, BLE based devices, right? And they connect via gateway just because it doesn't have IP capability. So like for example, if you are a beginner, right, and you don't have any idea like how to develop a quick prototype, and being an open source enthusiast, I also encourage like you can go and have these open source devices. So a lot of open source codes are available. You can go and look out these schematics, how these devices has been developed. So Raspberry Pi 4 R3 4 is the latest one that is available into the market. You can buy, and easily you can run different programming languages on it, right? Like you have Python, Node.js, C, Java. So all these particular languages are supported on this particular Raspberry Pi boards. And if you are not much interested to work with SBC initially and you want to work with a firmware or bare metal based devices, you have ESP32 that can be easily programmed with Arduino based IDEs. There are a lot of packages that are available that you can easily enable to program with Arduino. Other than that, if you are looking forward to have its own particular tool chain, Express IDF, that is also available while you are interested to work with ESP based devices. So these two devices that I generally find that they are quite easy to understand the IoT architecture, sending the data to the cloud, setting up certain environment where you want a closed loop where you can control some environment, like for example you want to switch on and switch off your lights that are connected in your houses. So these things you can easily do with these particular devices. Next, one of the important thing is that how your data is going to communicate to the cloud, because cloud doesn't understand legacy protocols like CAN bus, SPI, I2C, what that used to be one of the major medium for exchanging data between devices. But contemporary protocols were the need of the hour while you are working with IoT ecosystem. And these protocols not only have the ability to exchange your data between device to cloud, but they also have some specific purpose. They are basically designed keeping into the IoT environment. So when I say IoT environment, it means I am talking to the environment where devices are not bandwidth rich, memory rich, processing rich. It means there is a constrained environment. So you need a protocol which should transfer your data to the cloud with even there is a less bandwidth, because your device might be in a remote locations where continuous power is not there. So you need to run your devices on the top of your battery. So in those cases, you need certain protocols which have less header size, so that your data must reach to the cloud platforms with very minimal processing and bandwidth requirements. So MQTT and QoEP, these are two best protocols, and it has plugins on all the platform that you will find, whether it's like might be QoEP is not much still practiced into the industry, but MQTT and REST with HTTP protocol is quite heavily used in the industry. But MQTT is one of the prominent protocol when I talk about with constrained environment, because its acceptance in the industry. It is also OASIS certified, and it has now two particular versions also available, 3.1.1 and 5.0 is the latest one. So MQTT you can easily learn. This is publish subscribe based protocol. Lot of documentation is available. Lot of SDKs are available if you are interested to go with AWS or Microsoft Azure. Then QoEP, again, it has lot of platforms have QoEP support, but some of them is still not. AMQP, you will also find this is one of the quite fantastic protocol in message queuing and quite heavily practiced with OPCA and AMQP in industrial IoT. And then XMPP for chat-based application. So these are few protocols that while you are coming into the IoT domain, you must understand. So MQTT is one protocol that you must understand because you will find quite easy while developing some IoT applications. And what are the wireless sensor technologies? It means these are the technologies that are enabled in the IoT modules, either on IoT gateways, right? So Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, low energy, Zigbee, Thread. Then from microchip, you have MiWi, LoRa, 6LoWPAN. This is again one of the important protocol, IPv6 over low power personal area network. It means even the constrained devices is going to have a IPv6 capability, right? Then 5G is the next, important long range communication that is going to play vital role in the IoT and higher computing convergence. Then NB-IoT is also for long range communication, and then Sigfox. So these are few wireless sensor network technologies that is used in the IoT industry. So let me talk a little bit more about enabling technologies, right? So what are the enabling technologies? Because IoT domain is a cross-functional domain where you need to have a knowledge of electrical engineering, You need to have a knowledge of mechanical engineering, electronics and communication, and of course computer science. So if you want to become a full stack developer and having a very core understanding from device to cloud integrations, so you need to have a knowledge of basic embedded system, how to program with the devices, understanding of basic protocols for bringing the data from sensors to the devices like one wire protocol, SPI, I2C, WARD. And if you are working in automotive verticals, you need to have a knowledge of CAN, LIN, Modbus, right? Uh, and then you need to have knowledge of wireless sensor networks, like how Wi-Fi, Zigbee, Bluetooth, low energy, how these particular protocols functions. And Bluetooth, low energy, and Wi-Fi, these two things are, quite prominent into the industry in major applications. Then communication protocols that I was talking about, like MQTT, REST, CoAP. Next one is cloud computing, right? How your device is going to be integrated with cloud platforms, and then how you are going to design your rule engines on cloud platforms. Device management, right? And then asset management, rule engines, all these things you require to understand on cloud. How to launch a virtual machine if you are interested to design your own web platform and you are not going to use like analytics based dashboard like Power BI, Tableau, right? So these things you also need to understand. Then big data, like for example, wherever heavy data is coming from various IoT devices, right? So in that cases, how you are going to process the data, large data, right? So you need to have a very basic understanding of Apache Spark, either Hadoop clusters. And then the one of the important thing, that fourth generation of IoT, where we are talking about IoT and AI convergence, right? Artificial intelligence. How you are going to bring the intelligence in your business logic, right? You have a data, of course, big data, by using Apache Spark and Hadoop, you can process the data, you can get some intelligence out of that data, but you cannot make your devices to take the decision on it your own, right? So these things I will be talking more in detail in coming slides, how AI is helping IoT. Then let me walk through that how generational shift has happens in IoT, right? So the first generation of IoT, if I talk about when we started working in IoT, it was more on like you connect your device to the cloud, store your data, that we say telemetry. Telemetry means data that is coming from the remote devices. So actually, basic in first generation, if I talk about, you have to connect your device to the cloud via means of certain protocols, might be MQTT, and initially with wireless sensor networks, Wi-Fi. It used to be Wi-Fi, either Ethernet, and this was the one of the major breakthrough in the cloud technologies, where providers got a chance to see that there is a lot of demand for the storage, right, and processing. So these things given IoT become one of the core driver for cloud vendors also, and they started seeing the revenue too much as compared to the one that used to be. So in first generation IoT, what happens, your devices got connected to the cloud, your data started storing into the cloud, and then those processing of the data via some means of Spark, either Hadoop or Stream Analytics, right? So this was the first generation of IoT, where you were sending the data to the cloud, storage, and little bit computing. Then second generation of IoT, where you find that people started now, like your users started demanding the reducing the latency of the data, because when you are pushing all the data to the cloud, of course a heavy processing will require on the cloud side, heavy storage, and that of course will demand more time for taking the decisions on the device. If you have to for example, if you have to take a decision to switch off the light and you have a lot of data to process, so of course it will increase the latency. So to reduce the latency of the data, reducing spillover of the data, these were the demand in the second generation of IoT, right? And then you started seeing local processing and analytics, more demand into the Excel. So And reason was that, like, if I talk about healthcare, right? Healthcare is one particular domain where uh, all the stakeholders are not interested to push the data over cloud due to sensitivity of the data. So the demand, for local processing and analytics was uh, uh, in the core, right? So in healthcare, one of the major policies, if I talk about, is HIPAA compliance. So whenever you working in the healthcare domain, you will find that more data need to be on the local side, right? So these were the demand. So for this, we started, putting the IoT gateways in between the device and cloud, where you started writing certain, logics where you can downsample the data and you were not pushing all the data to the cloud. And there was one of the major issues that got resolved by coming IoT gateway into the market, and industrial IoT start taking more step into the pragmatic phases. It was like, protocol translation. So like CAN bus, you cannot send the data using CAN bus to the cloud platform. So a lot of IoT gateways were introduced, like Raspberry Pi devices, BeagleBone Black, and other devices which have, CAN based supports. If they don't have, even you can use external modules to provide CAN bus, like in Raspberry Pi and all, FlexRay, Modbus, and they becomes like easy medium for sending the data to the gateway. And from gateway you can write certain logics which can downsample the data, so that very few data that are core important data for taking the decisions were started sending to the cloud. And then lot of utilization of your contemporary protocols like MQTT, CoAP, REST with HTTP started coming into the picture. And third generation of, IoT, and you see a lot of talks about edge computing and fog computing in between 2017 and 18 in research papers and a lot of conferences, right? And that's where you find now edge computing, fog computing, and AI is becoming the core function of the IoT ecosystem, right? So why edge computing and fog computing become very important in IoT scenario? So there are a lot of applications where you need a heavy processing of the data, and while you putting the data to the cloud, your solution is not going to be real time, right? Even I cannot say it will be near real time. So you started putting a lot of intelligent devices near the device where the data is getting generated. It means your sensor is connected, right? So these two terms got into introduced, edge computing and fog computing. And slowly and slowly you will see the emergence of edge analytics, edge AI, right? And the solutions like from the vendors, if I talk about AWS introduced the solution for green grass, right? You can perform edge computing at the, very core to the IoT devices, very close to the IoT devices. And if I am not mistaking it, it was like IoT gateways started mimicking the public cloud. It means whatever the functionalities that you were getting at the public cloud, they started coming near to the gateways. And there is like few differences between fog computing and edge computing. In fog computing, your gateways are more closer to the cloud, and in edge computing, your gateways are more closer to the device side. But of course, they solve the same need, that more sampling of the data need to be at the edge, more logics, more IoT AI models you can deploy onto the edge. And here you started seeing a lot of devices that started coming into the market that have GPUs, that small devices that have GPUs, right? But those GPUs even were not able to resolve the, that kind of heavy computing. So you see the born of fourth generation of IoT, uh, where now you see AI into the action, right? AI, and in device side, if I say, you see AI accelerator, right? So AI accelerator are those who helps, to run heavy business logic algorithms that you write on the edge only, right? So like you see the boards nowadays, Jetson, and CDEC is going to one of the major part into this fourth generation of IoT. And I have seen a lot of great initiative taken by CDEC Patna in this particular domain, where how they can converge AI and IoT based applications by applying even, HPC is going to play a very vital role into this. And CDEC Patna is taking the major lead, what I see into the industry, that they have a fantastic setup. They have powerful HPC based machines where they can apply easily heavy AI models, uh, fantastic big data tools easily. So they are going to leverage in future, what I can say, this particular AIoT, right? So they are going to be the leaders, what I see in India. So AIoT is the fourth generation where we are now landing, right? So till third generation, if I see, we used to write rule engines in the cloud platforms, right? It means we have to hard code. For example, there is a furnace, right? And that furnace need to be, stop or switch off after certain threshold, say X. So we need to hard code the rule engine, right? Like once temperature is reaching to this particular threshold, your furnace should stop. Either your inside temperature of the room should reach to this particular value, your air condition should stop. So these were the third generation technologies where we used to write rule engines, and that were hard coded. But now AI has introduced in the fourth generation. It means we are writing the models and your machines are running itself. That's why the name given artificial intelligence. Intelligence that is artificial, right? But that artificial intelligence is written by, of course, humans that are writing the models. Those models are self-trained models, and if that models are not working, they are again reiterating itself and they are coming, with more accurate models. So here now machines are becoming more intelligent than human. They are learning from everyday data. So you can say big data and AI, if I talk about. So big data was just, enabler, but AI is taking the core benefit. AI is any, in product of it, in AI, in IoT. So big data, AI and IoT. This is the fourth generation market where you need to have a sound knowledge of big data, IoT and AI. Then you will see that there is a very fantastic change in your business. You will get a lot of insights. You can change the complete, user experience. You can design a very new business model that is going to leverage a lot of benefits to the end users. So you are learning from the data, you are taking the decision from the data, but that decision is not taken by the humans. These decisions are taken by the machines itself from the data that they are receiving every day, right? So these are fourth generation of IoT, that is called AIoT. So it's like the convergence has become a new term called AIoT, artificial intelligence of things. So this is the fourth generation of IoT, and this is one of the important thing that is practiced into the industry. So let me give you a use case where you will see IoT and AI into the picture. It is like a smart office reopening with RXR reality, right? This is the company in US that has designed a very new experience during the COVID, right? So they used Azure services and applied a lot of, AI models to take a decision based on like how much traffic in the office and all. So let me go through with this story, and you will find quite fascinating that how AIoT is tackling these biggest pandemic, right? That no one was sure about. So you are seeing this is blue color, right? It means your building is safe, and building wellness index is blue. It means your building is safe and people can easily work into it, right? So let me go through it how this solution was developed. So here you will see a dashboard, right? A lot of sensor are installed that I will be making you comfortable in coming few slides that how this particular use case can be designed. But let me give you very thorough understanding what are the functionalities that are implemented in this particular use case. So you can say like COVID case count, right? This is 0. High temperature individual today so far, right? Out of 155 people scanned, there is one people who came into the office. He has been permission and not, that is a separate part, right? For that different logic is written. But out of 155 people, one people who was reported to the temperature that was not required, right? Then average temperature recorded 98.7. The people who have entered into the office, right, it is 98.7. However, if I talk about based on the data that AI algorithms has written, it is taking that this is 70 was the average in last 7 days, average temperature, right? For example, in last 7 days, if you try to see, this is temperature is scanning, and in that cases, high temperature individual through scanner 0. It means someone who has entered into the office, right? How many people has got the access into the building? You can see 71, right? And how many people got access who are qualified to work in the office? They are like around 71, and average in 7 days is 230. And how many people have denied access? You can see 0, right? Here, if you try to understand building reporting, right, in that you how many employees are expected to come today, right? So expected employees 130, right? And overall population, you see like 99 people that has entered into the office. And at this particular time, how many employees were working yesterday? They were 98. Like, so this based real time based solutions that has been developed, you can see here, like, building occupancy in real time. If you see, average historical occupancy is 3.2%, and real time building occupancy, that is right now, is like 4.46%. And these data that you see are in the report, they are real time data, right? So for example, if you have entered into a office, right, and generally you see due to government policies, all the people cannot go into the offices. It means you need to put certain algorithm into the place where automatic rotation policy need to be involved into the process, right? So before that, they introduce certain pass mechanism, right, that generally used to ask certain questions, like are you in containment zone, uh, you have traveled and there is 14 days quarantine rule. Such question has been developed, and based on that you used to get a access pass, right? And in that, on the top of that, you can see like get daily access pass, and once you get a access pass, you can travel to the office. And of course, you can see in your application that what is the your next rotation that is going to come into the office. So these are the certain questions that were designed to get a access pass. There are other question that has been put up, and based on your country policy, you can put more question into it, like have you tested positive for COVID-19 in the past 14 days? Your answer should be yes, either no, right? Have you experienced any symptoms of COVID-19 in the past 14 days? In the last 14 days, have you knowingly been in close or proximate contact with anyone who has tested positive for COVID-19, or who has or had symptoms of COVID-19? Such questions were designed to, get a daily access pass. So here, you understand that in COVID situations, for your clean environment is quite mandatory, right? So for that, indoor air quality and outdoor air quality plays a very vital role, right? So for that, they designed a wellness pulse, right, where you can see that what is the humidity, right? Generally, it is suggested that if a humidity is between 40 to 60% of the office, it is quite safe. And carbon dioxide levels you can easily measure, and based on that you can see how clean your environment is, right? Such sensors were installed inside the offices, and you can easily see those things. Then in building, you can see what is the foot traffic at that particular amount of time. Like for example, at 10:40 a.m. the foot traffic is 7, but average was on Monday 5, right? Total people, indoor air quality, uh, in community site, they have also installed sensor where you can see how many people are in transit, how many people are in workplaces, right? What is the residential condition right now, retail and recreation. So many things that has been introduced into this application. On the other side, you can see, for example, your personal information. You can see that in myself section, how many people you came into the test, right? And within 6 feet, so you can see like for the 2 days it is 0, right? And 4 people encountered on average over last 7 days. Total contact time with others 0 minute, right? It is for the data 1 day before, it's yesterday. and 20-minute average is the total contact time over last 7 days. So you have, very correct picture of your office environment while you are working into it. Then you can see also cleaning logs, right? When your office was cleaned. And this is also a total automated system. I will be talking through it, like how this particular system was implemented with the core architecture of it. So you can see that when your office was cleaned, the timing of this. And if you are interested that your environment is not more clean, you can also request new cleaning. These are the nearby command centers where you can see the building, real-time occupancy, and everything. COVID related scoreboard, you can see 0 cases reported last 30 days, high temperature individual 1 people, average temperature recorded 0, right? Temperature scanning, building access. These things are put up on a one particular dashboard.
कोई
Here
आता
you-
तो उसको 31 लोग थे 29 हो गया.
So here you can see like sensors that are installed and what are their values, right? Temperature, you can see CO2, is that in within optimal range or not? So you can see the value that is in optimal range, right? And indicators are also placed. Humidity, to PM 2.5 for like monitoring the air quality index and all. PM 10 carbon monoxide, ozone, POC, every particular data is put up on one particular dashboard, right, to understand the indoor environment. You can easily select the particular floors and you can understand that what is the status. Inside the status, it is green, red, yellow, right? And these things you can also at sitting at one place, you can see how many people have been got access in the offices. Then also to understand like those people who are absent in the offices, right? So what are the regions? They are also how many people have been visited the office, they were uh, uh, got COVID in between, or other than COVID, is there any other particular kind of symptoms, right? So all these things you can see they are also connected with the hospitals, and you can easily see that hospital visits are now decreasing, right? 94. So you can also understand that the people who are working in your organization, are they coming or not? And if they are not coming, what is their status, right? Then this is one of the important feature that you can see that contacts per person, right? Like when you are coming to the office, how many people you came into the contacts, right? And does this getting decreased? So you can see also the detail like between 11 to 11:30, 30 contacts, right, came into the, and in between 2 to 2:30, 40 contacts total. So based on this insight, you can put the alarms, right? Because between in this particular time, the contact per person is increasing. So reduce the access of the pass between this time zone. So these are like automatically your machine is learning from the previous data and generating the alarm. So here AI and IoT is playing a very important uh, important role while developing your use case and giving you the actual business insight. So this is the core architecture if you try to understand how this particular solution is developed. So if you have a very fundamental knowledge of Microsoft Azure, right? So here you can see the sensors. This is the Azure Stack Edge device that has enabled with GPU. And on the top of that, you are seeing cognitive service. Cognitive service, it means is the service provided by the Microsoft Azure, that is AI based services, right? It means you can run AI algorithms, and that is already trained on the edge of this Azure Stack Edge device. So this is acting as a gateway, right? So you have people counters and air quality sensors. You have button sensor. Button sensor is nothing but a sensor that is having BLE, and whenever a cleaning staff that come into the contact of this button sensor, the time is recorded, and when it is got cleaned, that particular response is sending to the cloud, and you can easily see that when your office was clean. So button sensor was placed for this. Then you have CCTV cameras, thermal cameras, access control system, right? Based on the pass, who will go into it, and E-Link display where you can see the data, and RX Bell platform, right? Where you are seeing these particular dashboard that I was displaying prior to it. So your sensors are connected, where heavy data processing is required. You can see there is, Azure Stack edge devices kept for downsampling of the data. Like you can see CCTV cameras, right? And then multiple sensors that are connected with this particular Azure Stack is not to push more data to the cloud, rather applying these algorithms at the edge only, right? It means they are mimicking the public cloud. And then you have SaaS gateway. It means you can write SaaS gateway, nothing but your IoT devices. It could be like where not very heavy data is in place. You can use Raspberry Pi based gateway, or i3 or i5 based processor, Celeron processor easily as a gateway, right? Where very simple processing is required. And those things need to be connected with a IoT hub. So IoT hub is a, you can say, virtual hub on the cloud Azure platform. Inside that, you can connect multiple IoT devices, right? So in resource group, you can create an IoT hub, and inside that you can create multiple devices, right? So these things will be the part of your Azure IoT hub, right? And then Azure function is particularly one applications. It is very much similar to, you might have heard in AWS, called Lambda function, right? So these are serverless architecture. You can easily run any logic on the devices from this Azure function. It means you can send command to the devices using these Azure functions. And then you have Azure Stream Analytics, right? You are processing the data at the runtime only, and then you are pulling those data into the important data into the Azure SQL database, and with some web applications you have designed your platform, right? And then to understand like what has happened in the previous, when alarms need to be sent, multiple alarms need to be sent based on the traffic and all, you have Azure storage, and on that Azure storage you have applied machine learning. So this is one particular application that has been designed in the core AIoT context, right? And here you can see that edge computing, fog computing, artificial intelligence, and IoT, right? So it's a convergence of AIoT and HPC, if you see at the larger context. Or if you don't want to involve HPC, you can use like these small devices that are coming from Intel, uh, Microsoft, right? These devices you can also use. So this one application I thought of to give you insight that how this cleaning system was working. So basically there is a button. That button is nothing but a BLE device, right? So whenever the cleaning stuff that come into this contact, right, uh, the time has been recorded, right? And based on that, you see that these particular things is getting, your device is getting connected by a SaaS gateway, might be a Raspberry Pi with a BLE module that got connected, and that data went to the Azure IoT hub. And with that Azure IoT hub, you are sending all the data to Azure Stream Analytics. So important data are getting filtered, and through Azure functions, you are sending again these data, by a gateway to the platforms where you can see that when this particular thing was last cleaned and all, right? So this is one particular very common application of IoT, right? This is what from AIoT. Now I will open the session for Q&A. I hope you have got little picture of AIoT, because time was one of the major constraint. So now I will be happy to take questions if you have any. Okay, so we have a question on blockchain, right? Okay, fine. So I will answer this query. How blockchain is important in IoT? Blockchain, again, there are multiple blockchain based applications, right? But does it helpful in IoT? So depending on the application context, right? I would say, like, if you talk about blockchain in IoT, this was the buzzword, but not got much, success in the business cases. Reason is that blockchain was implemented where security come into the, picture, right? Where you want to avoid the breach of the data. I want to make more quantum proof applications, right? uh, then in that cases, for example, fintech, if financial fintech section is one particular thing where blockchain and all got lot of attention. But in IoT, where there are a lot of constraint on the devices, right? And in blockchain you might have experience that you have to install the whole ledger, right? And it consumes a lot of spaces, right? So in IoT it becomes quite difficult to implement in blockchain. However, there are solutions that has been designed keeping into the mind similar to the blockchain called IOTA, Internet of Things Association, and they are working quite prominently for enabling lot of solution in EVTS, right? uh, EVTS, it means I am talking about like electronic vehicle transportation services, where you can use IOTAs to recharge your vehicles. You can enjoy inside a a particular vehicle. There is a system called Hero. They have used IOTA based application. So IOTA basically uh, checked last two transaction, and it has the similar approach that blockchain does, right? Major and minor concept, but it has a concept of something called tangle, right? So whenever uh, last two transactions approve the new transaction, it gets the part of that particular tangle. So I would say, rather than going more into the blockchain, look for the distributed ledger technologies that are feeless transaction, and IOTA is one of the best application for the IoT, where you have a lot of protocols also like MAM, mass authenticated messaging channel based. So lot of security has been enabled using IOTA. So blockchain like the is not much efficient in IoT, but IOTA is one of the major promising future in distributed ledger technology in IoT. So there is a question like which evaluation board is required to perform IoT AI based experiment, right? So IoT and AI based experiment, you can now check it out. There are a lot of boards that are coming, like from NVIDIA, there is a Jetson board, right? You can, Microsoft, you have HTPU based board. So a lot of boards are there where you can find now, you can easily run from Intel. You can see that small device, comes, I forget the name, that particular device, right? Very small USB based device you can plug in and you can run easily AI based algorithms, right? So multiple AI based board that are coming to run AI based models at the edge. Rachel, how IA works in your model? Okay, so see, a lot of models are already written by Microsoft, Azure in, if you go on the ML model side, where you can easily use those models, and you just have to provide the data set that are coming from the sensor, right? So it is basically based on the ML model. We have not written any algorithm, even they don't have written any algorithm. And most of the application that we are developing in our organizations, we are using, if we are using public clouds, we are using the ML based model that are available in Azure. However, based on your applications need, you can design your own model. A lot of algorithms are there, right? You can see their accuracy of those algorithms, and those kind of algorithms you can run it. So there is a major challenge in IoT. So security is one of the major aspect that still people are working in, right? Because the traditional approaches that we see in IoT is like your AES based encryption and all. And the future that even CDEC is working quite efficiently in quantum computing, where you will find that computing will become quite easy. So breaking these hashes becomes so easy in AES and all. So you will see a lot of surge in the Winternitz based algorithm you might have heard, right? So they are quite quantum proof algorithms in the security side. So a lot of research are going into it. So security and still signaling is one of the major challenges while you are developing your solutions that need to be deployed in remote terrains, right? Where signals are still not reached in many areas of the India, right? Even in other countries also. So those are the major challenges. What I might have noticed that you people might have found this session little bit abstract. The reason is that I try to hit most of the point, and they maybe looks like jargon if you are at very initial stage. So I think CDEC is also launching this time IoT and AI course for the courses as a PG diploma courses. And when I did my PG diploma way back in 2017, right, there were not the resources. And one of the chief architect who designed these courses and taken initiatives, he's now heading the CDEC Patna. So those people who are interested to come out from these jargons and move into the pragmatic phases, they have the options to go for PG diploma courses in IoT and AI. And when I saved my career in last 4-5 years, I seen that course helped me a lot, because that course was designed keeping into the knowledge of sensors, microcontroller, wireless sensor networks, cloud technologies, their IoT security. And nowadays, you will find that whatever is demand in the industry, CDEC changes the pattern. They do the meetings, they call the industry expert, and they design the courses based on the requirement in the industry. So those who find these session like a complete abstract, they have the options if they are interested to start their journey in IoT. I was very much similar while I was in 2016 and I completed my graduation, and I was quite passionate with this jargon called IoT and artificial intelligence. But this PG diploma when I did in 2017 initially, it has remarkably help in my career, right? So similar to that, you might, some of you will be facing the similar issues, right? So you have those options also. Do we have any other questions apart from the other? If I have not answered your query and you are quite interested to more into the depth, you can also shoot your question. I will be happy to take that question. Pradeep sir, any other question that you find in the chat box has not been answered yet?
I think there is no more question. I think chat box.
Okay, that's great. Okay.